What unfortunately was a very, very uneventful time to come for the main event, man. Tom Aspinall versus Surreal Gane. We all wanted to be able to get into it and really dive deep more into this UFC 321 headliner, but unfortunately, it tamed off. Which was a pretty decent card. This card was actually pretty decent for the majority of the time of it being on. But starting off, this card, we had Jacqueline Amor-Mim versus Mizuki. And just from the onset, Mizuki was on one, especially with her inactivity and Amor-Mim being on a 4-fight win streak, all of them be coming by submission. I was thinking Amor-Mim was actually going to get the job done this one against Mizuki, but Mizuki with the takedown defense was actually looking pretty well on the feet and on the striking. She made Amor-Mim look like an absolute amateur on there, and Amor-Mim was doing some good things from time to time, round by round, trying to be able to fish for some submissions, get in better positions, but always ended up being on bottom and took a lot of punishment, therefore, after it. And Mizuki, again, with the great grappling, the takedown defense was on in effect, and as well as the striking was just overall way better than what Jacqueline Amor-Mim was able to do in this matchup against her. So, Mizuki getting the job done. Something that I did not see happening whatsoever because, I mean, she's been out for about 2 years. But neither here nor there. First one on the card, we got wrong. Now, moving on up the card, we got Azat Maxim versus Mini Michael Chandler, because that's literally what Mitch Raposo looked like in this matchup. Mini Michael Chandler. Raposo getting the job done over Azat Maxim. I went with Maxim on this one because I just thought his performance against Ulanbekov and him showing how really close it was between those two guys, it just was impressive for his performance and be able to come a little bit more of as a step down with Mitch Raposo. Raposo has been coming off split decision losses, both of them. And Maxim, and especially the competition that he's been facing off as well before the Ulanbekov loss, he has a loss over Charles Johnson. And Raposo, man, was just getting there, getting to work, winging shots, winging overhands, using the jab, was really beating Azat Maxim to the punch. Maxim looked, if not scared, looked like he didn't really want to get engaged in there, obviously for a speed advantage or disadvantage that he had against Mitch Raposo. First round, I mean, he got the takedowns after Mitch Raposo was doing some good work in like that first minute. So I gave the first round to Maxim. Second round, I gave it to Raposo. Raposo was doing better, was able to get and stand up a little bit more and be more effective in terms of his damage. That's something that I do want to give a lot of credit to Abu Dhabi. They were actually on their dean and actually doing the things that they needed to be able to do to actually make MMA great again. Really valuing damage and not takedowns and all these control. Third round was another close round that could have went Maxim's way. He could have been able to get control over it, but then that big cage grab towards the end of that third round against Raposo when he was trying to be able to, I believe, get into a different position when he was like on the bottom, really just severed the ties and cut the losses for him trying to be able to get a win on this one. And finally, Mitch Raposo finds himself in the win column. And now moving on up the card, we got Ham Boy versus Chocolate Peppa Pig. Man, this was rough. This was rough to watch. I went with Chris Barnett because why not? For the meme, I guess. But Hamdi El-Wahab got the job done with just takedowns. Takedowns. He had a few good front kicks, to the body. I mean, it's literally that wide open for Chris Barnett. Barnett was okay. He was good every now and then with a good low kicks. But besides that, it was just a takedown fest by Hamdi El-Wahab. Really just doing what he needed to be able to do. There was a little bit controversial spot where he elbowed the back of the head clearly of Chris Barnett, and I believe that was in the second round. Takedown defense and grappling defense was atrocious by Chris Barnett, but what do you expect? And Hamdi El-Wahab seemingly gassed his way out to be able to get a victory. Two pork boys getting it over on with each other in the heavyweight division. What else do you want to be able to expect? Chris Barnett is literally showing us how this fight literally went on, and that's what it was. And now moving on to what I believe was the fight of the night on this card, Nathaniel Wood versus Jose Miguel Delgado. And listen, a lot of people are going to be calling robbery. A lot of people are going to be screaming to the heavens and wanting Jose Miguel Delgado to be able to get a victory over this one against Nathaniel Wood. But I called this one to an absolute T. First win for me on the card, and I'm taking it. Even if you want to call it a robbery, it wasn't. Anyways, first round, Nathaniel Wood and Jose Miguel Delgado are throwing it down. And I mean, really getting into it. Jose Miguel Delgado is really just, his combinations are really fluid. He just flows into his artistry of terms of his striking. Nathaniel Wood being the old, sturdy vet that he is. I mean, shout out to Nathaniel Wood, man. Shout out to Nathaniel Wood. He's been on the wrong side of a lot of robberies so far in his career. And if you want to be able to call this one a robbery again, like I said earlier, I don't think it was. Neither here nor there, but whatever. First round, again, like I was saying earlier, Jose Miguel Delgado really just flowing in terms of his striking and really getting into the face of Nathaniel Wood and flustering him. But Nathaniel Wood was doing something that was really effective throughout the entirety of the fights, which was the low kicks. And then obviously there was an exchange where I believe in the southpaw stance, Delgado threw a head kick, missed the head kick, whiffed over, and then threw a spinning. People are calling it a spinning elbow. It was not a spinning elbow. It was a spinning back fist that landed beautifully on the chin of Nathaniel Wood. Had him hurt, dropped him badly. But Nathaniel Wood, again, being the vet that he is, just being able to recover, getting back into a better position, mixing things up in terms of the grappling and getting to a clinch situation, then getting back to things on the feet, landed a nice overhand on the button of Jose Miguel Delgado and dropped him in that first round. First round, though, I gave it to Delgado. I think he was more in control, and the knockdown that he landed on Nathaniel Wood was more effective than what Wood landed on him with his knockdown. But overall, a great, tremendous round. Start out by Delgado, but then we go into the second, and similarly things happen into the third round. Jose Delgado was doing great in terms of his combinations, letting things loose, and landing, but he was landing in spurts, and he was on the back foot a lot. Nathaniel Wood was putting on the pressure, putting on the pace, and staying in Delgado's face and making sure that Delgado was not having any type of confidence or any type of way for him to be able to show more dominance in the fight against Nathaniel Wood. And Nathaniel Wood, being the old, sturdy vet that he is, being in these moments, being in these situations, getting hurt beforehand, and knowing how to be able to deal with these situations, going against a young and up-and-coming guy who's been streaking and knocking everybody out. And once he has the moment where he damn near gets somebody out, like a Nathaniel Wood, he really just... he did good, and he probably did good enough to be able to get the victory, but Nathaniel Wood was, again, presenting with the low kicks. The left hook was money all throughout this entirety of the fight, especially in those last two rounds. Nathaniel Wood was landing that lead left hook at will, seemingly. Right hands were landing over the top as well. And again, Delgado was having success. He was doing good things, landing the knees up the middle, landing his jabs, still being effective in terms of the things that he was doing in that first round throughout the entirety of this fight. But again, it was on spurts. He was going backwards. He wasn't showing what he was showing in that first round. So since he was getting backed up, and since he was really the guy that was not leading the dance compared to a guy like Nathaniel Wood, they gave Nathaniel Wood the victory, and I think that he clearly won it. Very close, but I think he edged it out. Gave the round to Nathaniel Wood. They had a nice grappling exchange towards the end of that third round where Wood got the takedown, but then got reverse position for Delgado. And then, like the last 10 seconds, Nathaniel Wood, I think, pretty much clinched it with a takedown in that third round. So, yeah, fight of the night for me. 100%. Those two guys went to absolute war. But, yeah, I think Nathaniel Wood definitely got the clear edge, very close decision over the young and up-and-comer, that being Jose Miguel Delgado. And now moving up the card, we got Walter Walker doing it again. 4-time streak in a row. I said 4-time streak. That's absolutely atrocious. But anyways, 4-win streak in a row. 4-time. The 4-time heel hook champion. We got Walter Walker snatching the ankle off of Louis Sutherland again in the first round. I mean, what the submission artist that he is just on another level. He called out Hamdi Al-Wahhab. I think he's way above the pay grade of Hamdi Al-Wahhab if we're doing that right now. He's ranked number 15. Get him up there against guys like Mick Parkin, Spivak, Tybura. We need more matchups for Walter Walker up there in the rankings in the heavyweight division. But besides just getting the heel hook, I really did like the low kicks and the stand-up that he was showing in that one. So he showed off a little bit more than what else was going on. But besides the fact, we got the 4-time, and I mean 4-time heel hook champion that going to trying to be able to get a streak, hopefully maybe in a 5-time for Walter Walker. And now moving up the card, we got what I believe was going to be the fight of the night and also an absolute tremendous fight didn't live up to my expectations 100%, but still was an absolute banger. Ludovic Klein versus Mateusz Rambecki. Ludovic Klein, first 2 rounds, clear, got the victory over Mateusz Rambecki. Rambecki was doing good things in terms of trying to be able to mix in the grappling, mix in the takedowns. Wasn't as effective as he was, obviously, in the third round. We'll get to the third round later on. But in the first 2 rounds, Ludovic Klein was just sniping Mateusz Rambecki. Obviously, the reach advantage was on to an effect every single time Rambecki tried to be able to get into his range and try to be able to get some strikes off. He did not have any success. He was eating that right hook, that shovel right hook that Ludovic Klein was throwing at him every single time he wanted to be able to get into there, and it was landing money. Also, as well as that left hand. The kicks were a little bit effective as well. I think Klein could have did a little bit more in terms of the low kicks. He was throwing that high kick and that body kick more often and throwing it into combination, especially he did a little bit more in that second round. But in that first round, in like the first minute, I think Ludovic Klein stung Rambecki bad. Had him like doing the chicken dance for a little bit. Didn't jump on him because Rambecki is a dude that you have to be able to respect in terms of the power and what he's trying to be able to present towards you, and as well as again. But he had him hurt. And as well as again in the second round, he did the same thing again where he stung him even bad. Didn't drop him, but definitely wobbled him. Had him on Queer Street. And it was bad looks for Mateusz Rambecki. Rambecki was looking like he was getting picked apart in those first 2 rounds where Klein had a clear lead victory over him in those first 2 rounds. And we go into the third round, and this dude, Rambecki, man. This is why I love Mateusz Rambecki. This is why I love him. Even though he lost, and I predicted him to lose, he is an absolute Terminator. He is just a dude that does not go away. He presents entertainment. He's in a bloodbath every single time he's in it. He is just entertainment and war personified. And I love that as him as a fighter. Respect him a whole bunch more, even through every single fight that he's gone through. And Rambecki, I mean, he continuing to walk on forward, continuing to bring the pressure, not caring about getting head kicked into head and also getting wobbled multiple times and really just getting pieced up on the feet. He continued to move on forward. Finally, he then secured a takedown that broke the ankle of Ludovic Klein. That's why there's the meme going around where, you know, Daniel Cormier is on one knee right next to Ludovic Klein. But he broke his ankle trying to be able to go down for a takedown. And once he did, there was about, like, I want to say 4 minutes, maybe 3 minutes and 30 seconds where Rambecki is just raining ground and pound. And he's continuously just landing these shots while Klein is on the bottom. And there's moments and there's time where you're thinking that maybe Klein could be able to get out of there. Maybe Klein is going to get broken. Maybe Rambecki is going to be able to pull off a third round stoppage where he was getting pieced up and wobbled all over the feet against this matchup against Klein. And Rambecki, man, landing elbows, landing punches. And really what the saving grace was for this round not being a 10-8 round to Rambecki was Ludovic Klein landed like 2 to 3 elbows that really cut open Rambecki. Rambecki was already bleeding. He was already cut up. We already know that that's what we're getting when we're getting into a Rambecki fight. But he really, really cut him open. Deep, nasty gash over his head. And he was spilling blood all over the place. I think that was the saving grace for Klein to be able to continue. Yes, he was losing the round, but wasn't losing the round dominantly in that third one. But Rambecki, man, huge respect. Comes out on a loss, but everybody knows what you're usually going to get into. You're going to get into a dogfight with Rambecki. Doesn't stop whatsoever. Cardio, chin. He just goes. He continues to go. But Ludovic Klein comes out on top on this one, as I predicted, and gets the win forward. And now moving up the card, we got Ikram Aliskerov versus Youngjoong Park. Ikram getting the job done over Youngjoong Park. A nice step up for him. A suitable step up compared to the last time he tried to be able to step up. That was against Robert Whitaker, where he got knocked out in that first round. But Ikram Aliskerov, tricky fight. Youngjoong Park was actually having a lot of success, especially in that first round, and really just landing shots that were not hurting Ikram, but definitely were stinging, having him worried, and especially on the back foot. But once Ikram was starting to be able to let go a little bit more, his jab was landing at will. The jab was money for Ikram, and the takedowns as well. Really, I don't think it was an impressive performance out of Ikram. He gassed out badly in that third round, and the only reason he didn't get finished or broken was he consistently was just getting takedowns on Young Jung Park. While he wasn't really doing tremendous stuff in terms of ground and pound or submission threats or all these other things, you just got to give him credit. Ikram got the job done, getting the takedowns where he needed to be able to get them. The jab was money, 1-2, and the low kicks were also good as well. Now moving up the card, we got Quillen Salkilld versus Nakrak Hasparak, and he Salkilled him. He Salkilled him. He got him out of there. One thing that I do want to be able to say, obviously, besides the first round KO, that was absolutely epic. That was insane of a head kick. Just landed right above the guard of Nasrat that completely put the snooze button out on him. And he was quivering and shaking with his leg, just jolting all over the place after the fact. Nasty and incredible KO by Salkilled. But the grappling. I was gonna say the stand-up, but the grappling by Salkilled was something that he needs to get a little bit better at. He showed it off against Yanal. I understand that this was like a 10-day short notice fight pickup on this card, and he's only 25 years old. He doesn't have tremendous experience, but he is 3-0 in the UFC so far. And as well, just the takedown entries were just way too telegraphed, way too bad, and he needs to be able to clean that up, and probably he is watching after seeing this matchup. But he Salkilled him. He completely knocked his block off his rock. And now moving on to the main card, we got another fighter that got their rocked off their block. We got Azamat Murzakanov versus Alexander Rakic. Hugely disappointed. I mean hugely disappointed in Alexander Rakic. He was looking good. I mean, he had a nice high kick that was landing pretty hard. He looked a lot more crisp in the first few exchanges that he had against Azamat. Azamat, there was a moment where he like threw an overhand that was just completely whiffed on. But I just noticed, man. I noticed it, and I didn't want to believe it, and I didn't want to see it. But Rakic then started to be able to mix in the grappling and get takedowns, and then he couldn't. And it was like, oh no. Oh no, dude. Like, you can't get the takedowns now. Now you're scared about staying on the feet with this tublard, this packed in unit that's carrying blub in his midsection. But Azamat, whatever. Azamat got the job done. Landed that southpaw jab on the money against Alexander Rakic. And Rakic just folded. He went to the ground, and that was pretty much it. Embarrassing. I think that's very embarrassing. I think he should think about retirement soon. If he can't be able to get dudes like Azamat Murzakanov out of there, who recently just KO'd Brendan Ribeiro, are we thinking that Rakic is on the same level as Brendan Ribeiro? Rough scene for Rakic. I'm not a Rakic fan, but I'm thinking he's losing to dudes like Erie. He's losing to dudes like Magomed, who's like competing for the championship, and they've been champions as well. I'm thinking you can get a fat dude, not a fat dude. He's not fat, but he definitely is carrying a little bit more weight than what he could be able to cut. If we're being quite honest, he can make middleweight easy. That being Azamat, but whatever. It is what it is. Got the KO victory, and now moving up the card, we got an absolute robbery, but thank you, God. There is a God. There is a MMA God. He's alive. He's alive, and he is well, and he's possibly only in Abu Dhabi. But for this card, we needed it. We got Alexander Volkov versus a BJJ guy. Yeah. A BJJ guy. That's what we saw. Jilton Almeida, the BJJ guy, that should be his nickname in this one, didn't do a damn thing besides get takedowns, have top control, and that's about it. Didn't threaten with any submissions, didn't do any ground and pound work when he could have. Right, he really could have done some ground and pound damage, possibly got Volkov out of there, possibly could have knocked out Volkov on the ground. Boo-hoo. All right, boo-hoo. Right, if you want to give the second round to Almeida, whatever. First round, Volkov, easy. Almeida gets a takedown. Then after some grappling scrambles, We got Volkov getting on top. Volkov trying to be able to get some submissions. He's looking for the Kimura. He's looking for a leg. He's landing ground and pound shots. He's with the elbow, with the hands, and he's making Almeida work. He's putting on some damage, right? Something that you would think a fighter, an MMA fighter, would actually do. But Jelton Almeida just didn't do that because he's incapable of inflicting any type of damage in any matchup that he's in. It's unbearable watching him. It is unbearable. If he's not fighting a fat tublard, a fat pig oink boy in the heavyweight division that he can easily outgrapple and look like an absolute freakazoid in there, he against top level dudes. You look at him against Curtis Blades, where he got knocked out because he kept getting elbowed on the side of the head because he's a big dum dum that obviously wasn't getting the takedown, but he was out muscling Curtis Blades in that one. But eventually he got rocked too many shots where he got knocked out. And this one, in the third round, Volkov doing great work, where landing some nasty knees in the clinch, landing some good shots over the shots as well, just trying to be able to use his jab and actually trying to inflict some type of damage and punishment on his opponent. And then you got Jelton Almeida. Jelton Almeida, the BJJ guy, the wrestler. Really what he is. He should just, I guess, talk to Craig Jones or those guys and, go up and sign up for a heavyweight bout in BJJ because he's not fit to be an MMA fighter whatsoever. They robbed him. He should have won. But damage over control and wrestling and time and all these other things. Shout out to the judges. They actually know what they're doing for once in their life. Volkov just got robbed beforehand against Gane. Now he gets a robbery victory over Jelton Almeida, so it looks out for him. Dana White actually said that he was going to do something right by him, and he actually did this time. So shout out to Volkov. Jelton Almeida, you can go screw yourself. Absolutely abysmal. Great BJJ dude, but a horrendous fighter. And now moving up the card, we got Umar Nurmagomedov versus Mario Batista. This was very close and competitive. It was, but it was a clear 3-0. Clear 3-0. Maybe you can do 2-1. I can give you 2-1. Give you that second round to Mario Batista. But I just think Umar, in every other fashion, was pretty much just out-edging Mario Batista, whether that be with the grappling, where he was very effective, getting the takedowns and trying to be able to get into these scrambles and just continue to have position over submission and really do the great things that he was doing throughout the entirety of the fight. And on the feet, Batista was, putting on the pressure, putting in some good work. He landed a really good knee up the middle against Umar Nurmagomedov. Actually, it wasn't up the middle. It was more out to the side, but it landed right on the button. Dropped Umar Nurmagomedov really bad. Don't know why Mario Bautista didn't even press even more into that fact because 30 seconds to maybe even a minute later to that fight, Umar got a takedown. And once Umar got takedowns, and yes, there was a lot of resistance by Mario Bautista, he was really in there to try to be able to win. He just wasn't in there and just trying to get fed to the lions and knew that he was the sacrificial lamb to get a loss. He really tried to be able to get a win, and he did a lot to try to be able to get back into positions, into winning ways. In that first round, he had that toe hold where he nearly snapped Umar's foot off, and really was effective towards the latter end of the fight. I would want to say that third round where the movement was just as well for Umar. But overall, besides those two moments, besides the big knee up to the side, and as well as the toe hold by Mario Batista, it was pretty much just Umar outdoing Mario Batista throughout the entirety of the fight. Whether it be on the stand-up, he was using his jab effectively, landed the left hand as well. The kicks were pretty effective. It was close. Again, it was close, but it was just clear that Umar got this victory. And now moving up to the card, to the co-main event, and we got Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern is a UFC champion, and she did it. She got the job done over Virna Jandiroba. I went with Jandiroba because I thought that she was on a better win streak, beating better competition as of recently compared to what Mackenzie Dern was beating in her recent bouts. But she did it. She got the job done. She is 2-0 now against Virna Jandiroba, who was number one in this division. I think The obvious next matchup for her is probably, believe, Natalia Silva. That's going to be a good matchup. But Mackenzie Dern, man, she did it. She did what she needed to be able to do. Whether she was on the ground and she was actually on bottom position or on the feet. On the feet, the jab was working overtime. She was doing good work with the kicks. The right hand was working good as well. Jandaroba had some moments here and there on the feet, but was clearly getting beaten on the feet by Mackenzie Dern. And whenever I went to the ground, and Jandaroba did get a lot of takedowns, and she had a lot of top control compared to Mackenzie Dern, she just didn't do a lot with it. She didn't land any ground and pound. Jelton Almeida, she really didn't go into crazy submission attempts, Jelton Almeida. And she just couldn't really do much against, Mackenzie Dern. And Mackenzie Dern is the champion now. She beat her pretty much everywhere, even though she did get taken down a lot. But on the feet, yeah, Jandaroba didn't have much for Mackenzie Dern. Now Mackenzie Dern's champ, and she's doing her thing. She got the belt. She got the behind, too. She definitely do. That was definitely something that a lot of people were paying notice to. And yeah, now moving on to the main event. That was very, very uneventful. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Things that you don't want to be able to see happens. A no contest between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane. I don't know, man. I don't know. A lot of people on social media, because that's what people do, are going to be trolling Tom Aspinall, giving him a lot of stuff, giving him a lot of BS, saying that he's a quitter, he's out there just looking for a way out, and because he's getting pieced up, and yada, yada, yada. But this fight went a little like how I thought it was. I didn't think that Ciryl Gane was going to be in control as much as he was in. Ciryl Gane, besides obvious the eye pokes that he had against Tom Aspinall, and obviously the worst moment to be able to do it, doing it regardless is the worst thing to be able to do. But he was looking good, man. Ciryl Gane looked like he was on his way. Unless Tom Aspinall, obviously we don't know. We can't speak into hypotheticals about that. But Tom Aspinall was not looking as sharp and as ripe as he usually does. Doesn't look on the mark as he usually does. And I just think that Ciryl Gane is that type of matchup that you have to take that seriously. Regardless of his losses, he has those experiences in the back of his mind. Going against a guy like Francis Ngannou that had to be able to use the wrestling and the takedowns to get a win over Ciryl Gane because he couldn't be able to land his power whatsoever. And John Jones, he did get a submission victory in the first round, but I mean, that was an abysmal type of approach for Ciryl Gane because he couldn't be able to do anything on the ground with it. Ciryl Gane, man, he has been working on his takedown defense because Tom Aspinall did try for a takedown. Wasn't the greatest entry and wasn't the greatest takedown attempt, but he did try for a takedown. Was not successful whatsoever, and it just stayed on the feet. And Ciryl Gane was just peppering him with the jab. There was a left hand that landed a little bit, not as much as it needed to because it needed to be on the end of the shot for Ciryl Gane to be able to have more damage, but it was a little bit short, so it was a short left hand that landed right on the button, right on the nose of Tom Aspinall. The low kicks were landing was good. Aspinall had some moments with his right hand, was landing it every now and then with the speed. He had some good succession with the low kicks as well, but Ciryl Gane looked like he was in control. He really did look very, very, very good in this matchup against Tom Aspinall. Hopefully, unfortunately, we can get a rematch of this. We need to because this is the only thing that we can be able to see in the heavyweight division as of right now. Since this is so cloudy and muddy with it being a no contest, we need to be able to see some type of conclusive evidence between these two guys in this matchup. Between Ciryl Gane and Tom Aspinall, I think they're going to be able to rebook it. Hopefully they rebook it soon. Maybe this is your January headliner. We're in October. These guys have already been ramped up and ready. Or maybe they want to be able to take some time off of it. I don't know what they do, but I definitely know that they're probably going to rebook this one, and I hope that they do. But Surreal Gone, man, I mean, you can't be able to say much out of it. I did say that Tom Aspinall was going to get a KO over Surreal Gone, and he was really trying to be able to do those things on the feet against him. But I did say it was going to go to the second round. I didn't think that Surreal Gone was just going to get out of there very quickly, and that was just it. Surreal Gone is an absolute issue and a problem to be able to deal with on the feet. That's why him working on his takedown defense and his takedowns and his grappling was so effective for him. And now that he kind of has that on his back pocket and he can keep things on the feet, things like this can happen. And with this being rebooked again, there's a better version and way, and now people can be able to think that Surreal Gone can actually get the victory over Tom Aspinall. That's going to be a thought. A lot of John Jones fans are rejoicing. A lot of Tom Aspinall haters are rejoicing right now. But it was just unfortunate and a very, very underwhelming way to be able to finish off this card with a lot of hype going into it for both of these men. But yeah, that's how it ends off, unfortunately. Like this video. If you like this video, comment your opinions on what you thought of this card. What would you rate it? 1 to 10. I'd probably give this one a maybe like a 5 out of 10. There was a few fights on the main card that were absolutely that BJJ guy Dern versus Jandaroba wasn't all that good at all. Ikram was whatever, but you know you got the finishes by Sal killed Walker. You got the two matchups with Klein, Rebecki, and with also as well with Nathaniel Wood and Delgado. This card was okay. It was a decent card, and it could have been a lot better, but it is what it is. And subscribe. If you're a UFC fan, you're an MMA fan, you're here for a reason. You want to be able to continue being here for a reason. And I'm always going to be here for you. That's my reason. Thank you guys again for watching again. And peace.